Okay, so get this. Australia is thinking about banning social media for kids under 16,
Yeah, under 16.
like completely banning it.
It's a big deal for sure.
Yeah, huge. So we're going to dive deep into this, starting with this article I found from Smart Homes.
Okay.
It's a website all about smart homes and internet stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So they're covering this.
All right, so what does the article say?
Well, basically, it says that the Australian government wants to, like, force social media companies to make the internet safer for kids.
Interesting. So how would they do that?
Well, they're talking about making these companies have, like, really strict age verification.
Age verification.
Yeah, and way better privacy protections, too.
So basically making these companies responsible for protecting kids online.
Exactly. And there are some serious consequences for companies that don't play ball.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
We're talking fines up to $32 million.
Wow. Okay, they're not messing around.
Nope. But here's the thing that I don't get.
What's it?
How do you even enforce something like this? I mean, social media is, like, everywhere these days.
Yeah, it's like totally woven into teenage life.
Right, exactly. It's like, how do you even begin to control that?
Well, the article talks about that too.
Right.
It's definitely a huge question.
Yeah.
Even the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, admits that kids will probably find ways around it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But his argument is that even if it's not perfect, it's more about sending a message to these tech companies.
Like, hey, you need to take responsibility for this.
Exactly. It's about putting the pressure on them to prioritize kids' safety online.
I see. So it's kind of like a game of chicken then.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Australia's putting the ball in their court, and we'll see what they do.
But what about all the other consequences? I mean, banning social media for a whole generation, that's got to have some serious impacts, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is way bigger than just Australia.
Really?
Yeah. The article mentions that other countries like the UK are watching this super closely.
So this could, like, set a precedent for the whole world?
Exactly. If Australia does this, we could see a wave of similar bans all over the globe.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it would completely change how young people interact with technology and with each other.
So what are people most worried about?
One of the biggest concerns is this thing called the digital divide.
The digital divide.
Yeah, basically it's the gap between people who have access to technology and the internet and those who don't.
Oh, right. I've heard of that.
And the article says that this ban could make that gap even bigger.
So kids who are already struggling, like maybe they don't have computers at home or reliable internet access.
Exactly. They could fall even further behind if they can't use social media.
Because so much happens online these days, right?
Right. Like online learning and even applying for jobs, it's all moving online.
And just staying connected with people, too.
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
So cutting kids off from social media could really impact their lives in a lot of ways.
that makes sense. And what about the economic side of things? I mean, social media is a huge industry.
It is. And this ban could really hurt companies that rely on social media for advertising and stuff.
So we could see job losses and less innovation.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just the big tech companies either.
You're right.
Think about all those small businesses that rely on social media to reach their customers.
They could be wiped out.
It's a whole web of interconnected consequences.
And then there are the unintended consequences, too.
Oh, yeah. We have to think about those too.
Like, what if this ban actually makes things less safe for kids online?
Less safe.
Hmm.
How do you figure?
Well, if you push teens away from the mainstream platforms, they might end up in these, like, underground online spaces.
Oh, right. The shady parts of the internet where there are no rules.
Exactly. And that's where things like cybercrime and all that scary stuff happens.
Like hacking and identity theft.
Right.
Things that can really hurt young people.
So we're trying to protect kids, but we could actually be putting them at greater risk.
It's a tough situation for
Oh,
sure.
it's kind of a head scratcher.
Definitely.
Mm.
It shows just how hard it is to try to control something as big and complex as the internet.
No kidding.
Yeah. No easy answers here. Yeah. It really makes you think twice about this whole ban thing.
It does. So what are some other options? I mean, there has to be a better way, right?
Well, the article talks about a few other ideas.
Like what?
One big one is investing in digital literacy programs for young people.
So instead of banning them completely, we teach them how to be safe online.
Exactly. Give them the tools and the knowledge they need to navigate the internet responsibly.
That makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, it's about empowering them, not shutting them out.
So what would these programs teach them?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like how to spot fake news, how to manage their privacy settings.
Oh, okay. So like real practical skills.
Exactly. And how to be good digital citizens in general.
Yeah, because it's not just about protecting themselves, right? It's about being responsible online, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's something we all need to learn. frankly.
You're right. It's like this whole online world is changing so fast.
It is, and having those digital literacy skills is crucial for keeping up.
It's like giving them a map and a compass for navigating this crazy digital landscape.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. Okay, so we've got education, but what about the tech companies themselves? Can't they do more?
The article talks about that too.
Really?
Yeah, it suggests that governments should work with tech companies to create safer online spaces for kids.
Interesting.
So instead of this whole adversarial thing, like governments versus tech companies,
Right.
they could actually collaborate and come up with solutions together.
Like what kind of solutions?
Well, things like age-appropriate content filters.
Oh, yeah, so kids wouldn't be exposed to stuff that's not right for their age?
Exactly. And maybe even creating entirely separate online environments for younger users.
So it's like a more controlled experience.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also about giving kids more freedom to explore and learn online without being exposed to all the risks.
Okay, I can see that. So it's about finding that balance between protection and freedom. But even with all these great ideas, education content filters. I mean, how do you actually make sure that people follow the rules?
That's the tricky part.
Yeah, it seems impossible.
There's no easy answer. The article suggests a multifaceted approach.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, like involving parents and educators.
Okay.
And of course, the tech companies themselves and policymakers too.
So everyone needs to work together.
It's not just about top-down regulations or technological fixes.
Right.
It's about creating a culture of responsible digital citizenship.
A culture of responsibility. I like that.
Yeah, it starts at home and in schools, but it also extends to these online communities themselves.
So everyone has a part to play.
We all have a responsibility to make the internet a safer and more positive place.
That's deep.
It is, and it's something we should all be thinking about.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential problems with banning social media, and we've looked at some other options like education and collaboration.
Right.
But it still feels like there's no easy answer here.
Yeah, it's a really tough issue.
It is. But the article at least makes us think about these important questions.
It does. It forces us to confront the challenges of the digital age.
And to think about how we can create a better online world for everyone.
And those are questions that we need to keep asking.
Absolutely. Because the future of the internet is in our hands. Wow. It feels like we've just scratched the surface here, this whole conversation about Australia's proposed social media ban.
Yeah, it really opens up a can of worms, doesn't it?
It does. All these questions about online safety, digital freedom, how are we going to manage all this stuff?
It's tough, right?
Yeah, especially with technology changing so quickly.
And kids are growing up in this world where it's just all around them.
Right. So if a ban isn't the answer, what do we do?
That's the million-dollar question.
I mean, where do we even go from here?
Well, the article mentions this idea of digital citizenship.
Digital citizenship.
Yeah, and not just for kids, but for all of us.
What do you mean?
Like, it's about moving beyond this whole us versus them mentality,
Like governments versus tech companies or parents versus kids.
Exactly. We're all in this digital world together.
I like that idea. Digital citizenship.
It's about taking responsibility for how we use technology.
And being aware of the impact it has on us and on others.
Right. It's about being thoughtful and respectful online.
And about making the internet a better place for everyone.
Exactly.
So how do we make this happen? I mean, how do we create this culture of digital citizenship?
Well, education is a big part of it.
Like those digital literacy programs we were talking about?
Yeah, those are crucial. But it's also about having open conversations with young people about their online experiences.
So parents and educators need to be involved too.
Absolutely. And mentors, anyone who works with young people.
It takes a village, right?
It really does. We need to create a support system for kids as they navigate this complex online world.
And it's not just about protecting them, it's about empowering them too.
Exactly. Giving them the tools and the confidence to make smart choices online.
So they can be active and engaged digital citizens.
That's the goal.
Well, I have to say, after diving deep into this issue, I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful.
Me too. It's definitely a challenge, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
It's not about shutting down technology or hiding from it.
Right.
It's about embracing it and using it for good.
And about recognizing that the internet is a powerful tool that can connect us, inform us, and empower us.
As long as we use it wisely.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up for our listeners out there, we want to hear your thoughts on all this.
Yeah, what are your ideas for creating a better digital future?
Join the conversation, share your insights, and let's keep this dialogue going.
Because the future of the internet is something we all shape together.
One click, one post, one connection at a time.